For years, the relationship between Prince William and Queen Camilla has attracted intense public attention. But recently, another wave of headlines has raised questions about the future king's relationship with his stepmother. And this time, the story needs to be separated carefully from the rumors surrounding the royal family. Claims about a secret royal document, a forged crown record, and a parliamentary investigation have circulated online. But there is an important distinction between a dramatic claim and a verified royal story. There is currently no reliable evidence establishing that Parliament uncovered a forged crown continuity register involving Queen Camilla, or that Prince William confronted her over such a document. So what can actually be established? The real story begins with the changing position of William inside the monarchy. As the Prince of Wales and heir to the throne, William's public role has continued to expand since the accession of King Charles III. At the same time, Queen Camilla has established her own position as an important working member of the royal family. That combination naturally creates enormous public interest. Every appearance, every interaction, and even small disagreements reported by royal commentators can quickly become a much bigger story online. One recent example involved reports surrounding Prince William and Catherine's relationship with King Charles and Queen Camilla. A new biography published in 2026 claimed that William had once been extremely unhappy about a suggestion concerning Catherine's name. According to reporting on the book, Charles and Camilla were said to have suggested that Catherine use the spelling Catherine because of concerns surrounding royal monograms. William reportedly strongly opposed the idea. The story is interesting because it reveals something very different from the dramatic royal record forgery narrative. It shows how even seemingly minor questions of image, identity, and royal branding can become emotionally significant inside the family. And William has consistently been portrayed as someone who is protective of Catherine. That relationship has become one of the central parts of the modern monarchy. But there is another important factor. William is not simply Charles's son. He is the future king. That means disagreements involving the royal family can carry a different weight for him, because he is also preparing for the institution he will one day lead. Queen Camilla's role has also evolved considerably. She is no longer simply viewed through the history of her relationship with Charles. Since becoming queen, she has taken on a substantial program of public duties and increasingly visible constitutional and ceremonial responsibilities. One of the clearest examples came during the state opening of Parliament. Camilla appeared alongside King Charles, wearing the historic George IV state diadem. The crown dates back to 1820 and contains 1,333 diamonds, making it one of the most recognizable pieces of royal jewelry. Its appearance was not evidence of a hidden constitutional power. Instead, it was part of the ceremonial traditions surrounding the state opening of Parliament. This distinction matters. Royal imagery can look dramatic, but ceremonial symbolism should not automatically be interpreted as evidence of political authority. And that is exactly where many online royal stories become misleading. A photograph of Camilla wearing a historic crown can easily be turned into a story about power. A report about William disagreeing with a family decision can become a story about a royal feud. And an unverified claim about a document can suddenly become a story about forgery. But those are three very different things. The real question is therefore not whether a sensational headline sounds convincing. The real question is whether the evidence behind it exists. At present, the evidence supports a picture of a royal family dealing with ordinary disagreements, enormous public scrutiny, and the complicated transition between generations. William's position is becoming increasingly important. Charles remains king, while William represents the next stage of the monarchy. Camilla, meanwhile, continues to perform public duties alongside Charles and remains an important part of the king's working circle. That does not mean every relationship inside the family is perfect. Royal families are still families. There could be disagreements, frustrations, and differences in opinion. But turning those disagreements into claims of secret constitutional conspiracies requires evidence. And without that evidence, the responsible way to tell the story is to separate what has actually been reported from what has merely been claimed online. Perhaps that is the most interesting part of the entire story. The British monarchy operates under extraordinary public attention. A small private disagreement can become international news within hours. A comment from a royal expert can become a headline. A photograph can become a theory. And a rumor can eventually be repeated so many times that people begin to assume it must be true. But repetition is not verification. For Prince William, that environment will become even more important as he moves closer to the throne. His future will depend not only on public appearances and royal ceremonies, but also on how successfully he manages the enormous expectations surrounding the monarchy. For Camilla, the challenge is different. She has spent years transforming her public role and building a reputation around charitable work, literature, literacy, and support for various causes. Whatever opinions people may hold about her personal history, her current position within the monarchy is an established reality. And for King Charles, the challenge is perhaps the most delicate of all. He must balance family relationships with the responsibilities of the crown. That is why sensational stories about secret documents and forged approvals deserve particular caution. If such a serious constitutional event had actually occurred, it would require strong documentary evidence and credible reporting. At the moment, that evidence has not been established. So rather than repeating an unverified scandal as fact, the more accurate conclusion is much more complicated. Prince William and Queen Camilla remain two important figures within a monarchy going through a generational transition. William is preparing for a future reign. Camilla continues to support the king and perform public duties. And Charles is attempting to maintain stability while guiding the institution into its next chapter. The real story may not be a secret forged document at all. It may be something much more significant in the long term. The gradual transformation of the British monarchy from one generation to another. And as William's role continues to grow, every decision, every relationship, and every public disagreement will receive even greater scrutiny. That is why the next chapter of the royal family will not simply be about Charles and Camilla. Increasingly, it will be about William and the kind of monarchy he intends to inherit. And perhaps that is the question worth watching most closely. Not whether an unverified document secretly changed the crown, but how the next generation of the royal family will shape the institution that will eventually belong to them.